Hey, how are you doing, boys and girls? Welcome to the video. So today on DMZ, I want to talk about, I suppose, the state of DMZ and also what has just came out in the blog, because I'm actually glad I waited now to see if there's some information coming out before releasing this video, because I already had a video ready to release and I've now just removed it because there's a few things I actually included in that video, which is now coming in Season 3, which I'm really happy about. So let's kind of get over and talk about what I would love to see in DMZ moving forward from Season 3 and onwards, because obviously there's a few things that haven't been mentioned from the Season 3 blog post, which could be coming. We don't know yet, because they said there's going to be more things coming, and they're going to talk about more things DMZ related before the Season 3 update comes, right? So the first thing they talk about is the barter system. Now, this looks awesome, right? Because it's basically, I think we had some leaks about some traders, in-game traders. I'm guessing this is that. I'm guessing it wasn't like AI controlled bases around the area. It's to do with the buy section. So a little bit disappointing. This could still be a thing, having the AI trading systems around the base, but I think that the leaks where there's like a trading system going or barter system, is this what they're talking about, the barter system at the buy. Now, it's really good for people who are trying to complete their missions, right? Because from what I make out from it is there's going to be like, you find a certain amount of certain thing within the game which are maybe easier to find. Maybe it's money, maybe it's other items which are a little bit easier to get a hold of, and then you can trade them for certain in-game items which are maybe more rarer, things like maybe GPUs or, you know, the blowtorch or things like that, which are more frustrating. And I'm guessing this is a way to help counter some of the annoying RNG moments in this game, when you're like, just, I was like, for example, I was stuck on that GPU for ages trying to find that GPU. Maybe this is going to be able to help with that, and I'm all for that. That's great, because the missions where it's all about RNG and finding things, I didn't find as fun. I like the ones where you go in with a set mission you have to do, like in that one raid, and come out, right? There, where you have a certain thing you have to do. I prefer those type of missions than RNG missions where you're finding things. The only way I don't mind RNG missions is if you can stash items in your storage if you find them and you haven't got the mission yet, right? So you could be doing a mission and you know there's a GPU mission coming up where you need 5 GPUs. You find one in the game, you can just extract it and stash it in your stash. Then I don't mind RNG missions, because at least you're limiting it a bit more, and you can stash things you know you may need for missions later on, but they don't allow you really to do that. Only certain things like documents, right? But it's nothing really substantial when it comes to storing items for objectives, all right? So I think the barter system is going to be really good, and I'm actually really excited for that. And I'll be interested to see what other things you can barter. There may be really cool things, like you could barter for backpacks, or maybe another way of getting backpacks or armor. There's apparently new backpacks and new armor plates coming in. Maybe that's another way of getting them, or that's the only way of getting them, is bartering them, maybe. So the barter system is interesting, and I am looking forward to seeing how that rolls out. Now, one thing they haven't talked about, I'm going to go back and forth between the blog and things I want to see which haven't been mentioned. They haven't talked about the police system. Now, I really want the police system to be removed. Not completely, but I want it to be removed from squads. I think it's a good system, but it's been abused, where it's just getting so many people teaming up in 6-mans. And it really doesn't matter how good you are as a player. If you see 6-man team and they're running towards you all at once, there's only a certain amount of things you can do, right? Obviously, if they're not really good, they're not coordinated, they're not keeping together, yeah, there's a good possibility you may be able to do it, right? And I've came really close myself a few times. But most of the time, I just get charged by 3 or 4 players, and there's nothing really you can do. You can't play up in time or reload in time before you take out the next person. So, please, I think the 6-man team thing is a bit BS, and I really hope they remove it. And what I would like in return is to help with the solo players and the solo lifestyle, is maybe offer the police system for the solo player, right? If the solo player goes down, if you're solo, you go on in solo, one of the handicaps you get is you get to plea for help, right? Basically, it'll also mean then it'll tell other players who are in a squad that you were a solo player if they killed you, or if you went down by PvE and you could plea for help. then they know, oh, it's a solo player, maybe we'll help him up. Gives them the incentive to help you up, because then if you join their squad, you now become a 4-man team. Now I think a 4-man team is easier to handle than a 6-man team. Even as a solo, if you play your cards right, you could definitely still outplay a 4-man team, right? But a 6-man's a little bit ridiculous. But I think a 4-man team is still kind of balanced, and it gives you a little bit of an advantage. And so it gives incentive to the squad players, but also helps the solo player, right? So I'd love to see that. That would be really something really cool. I don't think it would most probably come in, but I mean, it's just something I would love to see it all change in regards to the police system. Now, one thing I was going to talk about was adding more different types of looting in the game, including attachments and, you know, things you can then stash in back at base, and then add these attachments to contraband weapons. This is actually something I was going to talk about. But what they've done is they added something called the workbench. Now, at the start, I was kind of... I had someone else said this, HUD said this. They wish it was more, you know, in-game, like out of game, sorry. Like in the menu, you could do this, right? And maybe loot attachments and stuff. And originally I thought, yes, I would actually prefer that. But now looking into it more, I've kind of changed my mind about it. I actually think the workbench being in the game is a better thing, because it entices you to, one, bring in, say, I don't know, say if you've gotten some cool contraband weapons you want to customize, and you bring in those contraband weapons, maybe over an assured weapon, right? You have to then go into your game, yeah? And you have to get to a workbench, you have to make some money and do stuff. It gives you incentives to actually play the game, right? Because at the minute, I don't do any quests. I don't really try and make money, because I have really no need to do so. It literally is no reason. Regaining is pretty easy. You don't need to buy anything regaining. You just either go to Ashika Island and just go to one of the strongholds, 1 or 2 strongholds, and you're sorted. Or you go to Al Mazrah, go to the crypto room, control tower, a raid weapon stash maybe. But most of the time, it's very easy to regain, right? Regaining is just not a problem, to be honest. So I like the fact that it's in-game, because then you have to make money. You have to then actually make money, so you can then go and go to a buy station and then customize your weapon. And if you want to keep on using it, obviously you got to get out with it, right? It gives a little bit more of things to do in-game. It gives a little bit more pressure when you go in-game, especially if you've got yourself a nice sniper rifle and you want to put a silencer on it. If you bring an assault rifle in and the iron sight's a hole and you want to put like a scope on it or something, right? You don't have to start making money and then go and customize it. I think this is really good, and they could really add to this. Like, they haven't really mentioned too much to this, but who knows that they might be able to add things like cool weapon camos, or like blueprint stuff that you can unlock from maybe killing, I don't know, the case, you know, killing the boss dude, you know, in grabbing the weapon case. If you kill him, not only do you get a weapon case, but he drops like a camo you can then take to a buy station and add to a contraband weapon to show that you've, you know, been killing the boss or something like that. You know, there's things you could do to the workbench and extra ideas you could add to make it even better, right? But I think it's a good start, and I'm interested to see how it goes along. Now, one thing is people say that, oh, people now may start camping more of the buy stations because of it. That's true, but again, you got things to counter that. You got things like recon drones, right? You could just literally recon drone around the place before you go and do your thing, because it's an important, especially if you're doing a something that important, you've got some money and you want to upgrade your weapon, you're most probably going to want to use your recon drone. I would most probably use my recon drone if I wasn't, confident if towards, you know, someone camping. I'll pop a recon drone and have a little quick look about. Yep, coast is clear, let's get modified on the weapon, right? There's things you can do to counter anyone camping when it comes to exfils or camping a certain area. It normally doesn't turn out too well for the camper if you have good information on where they are. Yeah, you can always do something against the camper long as you use the right tools. So I think the workbench is really cool. Now, the other thing they mentioned was the active duty operators, which to me sounds a little bit like, I don't know if anyone's played this, but Hunt Showdown. Hunt Showdown is a really underrated FPS game, by the way, if you haven't played it on PC. It's something I really, really enjoy playing. And every single time I play, I have a blast. It's an underrated FPS game. More people should be playing it. It's such a good game. But going back to this is very much like that, where you can now have more than one soldier, and you can like level up a soldier, maybe get a really cool exfil streak going, this purple geared out of his mind, you know, got, you know, some good stuff on him. That could be your main character, which you use when you're maybe with your main squad you like to squad up with, and maybe go and do some big missions or PvP, whatever you want to do, right? You got your cool character for that. But then if you're just doing some like easy missions, or like you just want to do something like maybe you just want to get all your active soldiers all level 3'd out, ready to go, you know, you got things to do now. You got things to level up your soldiers, and then it also makes it so if you are doing something which revolves around a really hard mission, instead of you having to go in, fail, you know, if you fail the mission, then have to go and regain, then go back to the mission, do it again, maybe fail it again, go back to regain, you know what I mean? With the active duty soldiers, you don't need to do that. You could just, you know, you can still keep on going with your mission without having to have regains in between. So again, I think it's a really good idea. And I never really thought about it, to be honest, but it feels like a Hunt Showdown system to me, and I think that's a very good thing. Like Hunt Showdown had this type of system where if you extracted with your hunter and all that, you get to keep them and level them up and all that. So it's really cool. Obviously we've got the new faction with some new missions, and they're kind of time gating the missions from the look of it, which is actually really good. I think that's a really good thing, because what that does is it means people don't like just rush missions and then complain there's nothing to do, right? You can't completely complete it all. It still gives you something to look forward to in the mid-seasons and stuff like that. So I think that's a good thing, like time gating the missions a little bit more, trying to, you know, hold people back from just rushing them. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm not the biggest person when it comes to missions. I just get them done, and I just think the missions at the minute, I'm hoping this is something which will come along. They add more incentives to do missions like this. The missions are more worth, because you get blueprints and stuff. But I looked at some of the tier 5 blueprints, because I'm at tier 5 now at every faction, and looking at the completion for doing them is some of these blueprints look absolutely shit. I'm sorry to say, they just do. It's like, I look at it and go, why do I want to unlock that? Why would I want to go through the pain of these tier 5 missions to unlock that blueprint, you know? Like, I just think there should be some more incentive to do these missions than what they currently are. Like, you know, I love like you see some of the badass operator skins which come out in the store. We need some of these badass operator skins to be unlocked for these missions. It would give me the incentive. There's a reason why I went for the tier 4. I think it was Black Moose, to get that Rose skin, right, back on season 1. She looks really cool. It looks really badass, and I put myself through some of the missions which I didn't really want to do to get that skin, to get that operator skin, right? So I just think they need to make the rewards better, honestly. Like, there's just more incentive to do them, because at the minute some of those rewards look absolutely horrendous, and I just hope that's something they can change. I've read somewhere about there's going to be like I suppose like a regain mission, and it happens, I'm guessing, at the start of each game. If you need to regain, you can kind of do this mission. I'm guessing it will obviously be, it'll be like hard. Maybe it's like one of the bosses, and this new boss they're introducing maybe is to do with the regain. And if you complete it and kill him, you have access to really decent gear maybe. And I was watching someone called Geeky Pastimes. I'm sure you know the guy. He's an awesome guy. And I like watching his kind of news and update stuff. And he says it could be a good place to PvP. You know what I mean? Like, there might be a lot of people going there trying to regain, and it could become like an action intense area at the start of DMZ, where there's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of PvP happening, right? So, you know, he makes a good point there, and I was actually like, yeah, that sounds really good. So I'm looking forward to that, the regaining part. I think that should be pretty cool. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, which I think I wish anyway, I do wish wasn't a thing, is removing insured weapons and adding them as a kind of like a loadout drop. You know how Warzone happens, but maybe more DMZ related. you call it in at maybe a buy station, or like again having the weapon station. It's kind of near a buy station, another kind of thing. You can call in a loadout, and it has a little, you know how you have an extraction going off, instead of a helicopter coming in, you just see the marker ping go up that someone's called in a loadout at one of the areas, and you have to defend it to get it, right? But if you defend it off and people are nearby and you kill them, you can get a cool customized weapon with your cool camo on it and all that, just like your insured weapon is. But to get it again, you have to get it in game, right? It gives more incentive to do stuff in the game and less incentive of being stuck in the menu, because I think that's where they're trying to go with this. Is they're trying to make it you spend less time in the menu and more time in your raids, right? Doing things in your raids. And I think removing the insured weapons, one, makes the contraband weapons more worth looting and going for the weapon bench stuff and customizing it. But if you really want a really cool looking gun with your Orion camo, for example, or a polyatomic camo, or you're testing out a certain build you saw, say, in Warzone, and you want to take that into DMZ, you have to go and call it in, you know, with a cooldown. It'll make more things happening in the game. It'll make for me personally, I'll make the game more alive, right? There's more things to do, more activities to do, and it's always in game. It saves, you know, I think that's where I see them trying to go with it. After seeing this, they're trying to make it so there's more things to do in the actual game. Nothing, and they're trying to maybe avoid things out of game, you know, like a lot of stashing. I do hope the other thing, you can loot things like your backpacks, right? I do wish they changed the stash system a bit where you can actually stash armor and backpacks along with your guns, along with also those, you know, items you may need for certain missions. I do think that you need to work on the stash, and I think like you should work on the fact that you can maybe extract with money and save money, so you could bring money in with you to go to that buy station straight off the bat if you wanted to, or you can buy certain things at the menu, like if you don't want to do a regain but you've saved a lot of money from extractions, you can buy automatically a purple vest and back. It may cost a lot more than, say, getting it from a buy station in game. Maybe it costs like 60-70k to get a purple vest or something, but you can still do that if you got the money you've been saving to go in without having to do a regain. Yeah, so it's just like things like that incentivize looting more too. But I think this is where they're trying to take it. They're trying to make it so you do more in game and less out of game, and I actually like a lot of the changes coming along, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they say more about this before the launch, and obviously testing this when this comes out. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Wanted to talk about this, really looking forward to it. What are your thoughts on season 3 so far? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you soon.